It's said that Prague has seen many historical events, both good and bad. Wenceslav Square has been the scene of many protests, including the Prague uprising in 1945 and student Jan Palach, who burned himself alive to protest against the Soviet Union invasion.
But there is one event in particular that the square is most famous for. It saw the end of the communist regime in 1989. Under communism, chaos was never far away. People were put under curfews, restricted to what they read, saw on TV and at the cinema. People weren't allowed to express themselves.
As paranoia grew between Communist Party officials, more and more innocent people were victimized, exiled and even executed. Those that opposed the party were arrested by the secret police and sent to prison. Here at Pangrad's prison, during the communist era, this spot was the place of execution for hundreds of political prisoners and will always remain a chilling reminder of the horror that remained hidden behind closed doors. Going to prison and being executed was not the only fear for Czechoslovakian citizens.
Here in the center of Old Town Prague is a permanent reminder of the devastating threat to this beautiful city. Deep under my feet, a nuclear bunker is buried, a reminder of the Cold War period, but nevertheless a memento of a dark age. Let's take a look.
Relations between the communist Soviet Union and Western countries like the UK and USA became so intense that the threat of nuclear attack was on the cards. Although nuclear bombs were never launched, it still reminds us about what might have been. Here in Letná Park, a huge statue of Soviet Union leader Joseph Stalin was unveiled 58 years ago. It took 5.5 years to build and was the world's largest monument honoring the dictator. Stalin was so powerful that the monument's designer, Otakar Švec, committed suicide 3 weeks before the unveiling. The statue quickly became a huge embarrassment for the failing Communist Party and so was blown to smithereens in 1962. Today, a huge metronome graces the plinth where the monument once stood. It's a popular meeting spot for young people with a famous skateboarding site right behind.
Can you imagine what it feels like to be oppressed? To feel like you are slowly decaying and losing your identity?
When the regime ended, people rejoiced that it was over.
But the victimization has never been forgotten.
Here on Petřín Hill, there are 7 bronze men, unveiled in 2002. The statues remind us how political prisoners were affected by communism. The first of the statues looks fairly whole, but looking over the others, you can see that they are slowly decaying, losing limbs, and their bodies breaking open. Imagine John Lennon, you think about the Beatles. The Yellow Submarine, you think of Liverpool, and his assassination in 1980. But in Prague, he is remembered in a whole different way.
This is the John Lennon Wall, a wall inspired by his values that the youth of the Czech Republic use as their voice for peace.
The wall was where young Czechs scrawled angry messages about the communist regime in 1988, and even when the authorities painted over it to hide the Lennonism, by the next day it was once again covered with poems and flowers.
It represents peace, it represents love, it represents how words can cause and contribute to change.
What better final stop could there be than the Vodka Propaganda Bar, a fun night, live hangout and a living communist museum.
There are happier times, I'm sure, but learning from past mistakes is what makes Prague the way it is today. So cheers!